Hello, everybody, and welcome into the 4-3 show. I'm your host, Ryan Blank. I'm alongside Parker Dunn and Dominic Stern today. We are without Pat Fortuna once again, but that is okay. We are here and we are ready to go for our show before week 15 of the NFL season that starts tomorrow. Gentlemen, how are we doing? How's being at home?
It's all right. It's going all right.
It's good. Got to hit the links yesterday. I'm on TikTok now because I'm bored. One of my TikToks banged though, so we're getting popular already.
Yeah, I've seen two of them. They're awesome. I gotta say, I'd watch the beginning of the video and I'd have no idea it was your video until you jumped in. I was like, oh shit.
So what's it like for you two being able to go out and golf in December? Because I can't. All golf courses are closed here in Kansas.
It's a nice thing to be able to do. I haven't actually done it yet, surprisingly. Like I was supposed to go the other day, but I'll definitely look to.
I'm blessed.
I almost tried to stay in Arizona a little bit longer just to hit the lakes a couple more times, but I couldn't. My mother is insane. But let's get into it. Let's start with college basketball and Florida's forward Keontae Johnson. Johnson, during their rival matchup with Florida State on Saturday, collapsed after walking onto the court after a timeout. We had an update a day later that he was in a medically induced coma, but now he is out of it, and he has talked to his teammates via FaceTime. He is currently in critical but stable condition at the University of Florida Health Hospital. What do you guys think of this incident? It's kind of something that the TV and cameras didn't get the initial video, but the video's been out.
It was a really scary situation, of course. I mean, that's what everyone comes to mind. It seems like he's doing a lot better right now. That's what's important. It's what happens. There are some side effects to getting COVID-19 afterwards, even though you are cleared. Still some symptoms and bad things that can happen to you, and it's unfortunate. Glad to know that he's okay because he's one of the best players in all of college basketball.
Yeah, he had COVID back earlier in the summer, but they can't. I don't believe they've really confirmed or denied whether or not played a factor. Definitely could have, because like Dom said, there has been some science that could back up that there are after effects that can last longer than the initial virus itself when it's in someone's body. So who knows whether or not it did impact him and if that's why it did happen, but it's good to know that he's in stable condition. He's in the right hands of medical officials, so it's good to see that he's doing all right.
Yeah, it's great to see that he's out of his coma and that he's been able to talk to his teammates and be around his family. And yeah, he and some of his teammates had COVID prior to the season, like you guys said. COVID can cause myocarditis, which is a heart condition, and there hasn't been any diagnosis for it. But that could have been, if he were to have that could have been a reason for why he collapsed. But all that matters is that he is okay and that he is going to be okay and that he is continually getting better while being at the hospital. So prayers up for him, and hopefully he can hit the court hopefully soon. Now let's move on to college football. We're getting to the end. We have some very interesting storylines coming down, but who is making the college football playoffs? I want your guys' predictions.
Well, I mean, I don't see a situation where Florida beats Alabama. Florida just has a disease, and it's called we don't play defense. And going up against a team like Alabama, that doesn't bode well. We saw the game against Ole Miss. Doesn't matter how many points you can score because Alabama's defense is going to be good enough to stop you 4 or 5 times, and they're just going to plow straight through you, which I imagine that's what the scheme is going to end up being. I don't expect it to be very close, to be completely honest. Alabama is what the kids would call a wagon, and they will keep trekking through. And then in the ACC championship game, look forward to seeing Trevor Lawrence get to face off against this Notre Dame team. Clemson opened up as 10-point favorites. I think that's kind of BS, if I'm being completely honest, because Notre Dame's been really good all year. In book, He's led that team. I think this defense of Notre Dame is, I don't want to say significantly better than Clemson, but I think it's definitely better. It's been one of the best units in the nation. I wouldn't be shocked if Notre Dame wins that game. And the question is, would the committee still put a two-loss Clemson team in the college football playoff? And I would say yeah, because I don't think there's really another team. You know, I mean, maybe you put Texas A&M in there, but outside of Florida, not really an impressive win there.
I have a question.
Sure.
If you look at, I looked at the All-State predictor for the playoff, and they said USC has a 47% chance.
No.
Any chance of USC
Absolutely
getting?
Absolutely not.
That's what I thought. I just wanted you guys to confirm that.
Who have they beat?
Zero.
They beat
Nobody.
Arizona State, who went 1-2. They were down by 13 against them with 4 minutes left. They beat Utah. They beat UCLA.
And they had to beat them at the last second. They had to beat Arizona in the last seconds as well.
No, come on, please.
Thank you.
Please do not put this trap. I don't want to see Clay Helton anywhere near the college football playoff. He will get torn. He sucks. His players are very good.
My dad agrees with you. My dad went to USC. You know that. He hates Clay Helton so much.
I think the majority of USC fans don't like him because he's not that good. They barely beat Arizona, Arizona State, who led the Pac-12 in point differential, might I add, who they suck, and they beat them by like 3 or 4 points. I forget what the exact score was, but they needed a game-winning touchdown drive to beat them. Like, come on. They don't. I don't get that. Like, just because they're undefeated in a Power 5 conference, they've played.
They have to beat
5 games. Yeah, and I mean Washington's not, or Oregon hasn't even impressed at all. They've won a ton of really close games against mediocre Pac-12 teams. So there's nothing going well for this conference. Pac-12 sucks. Ohio State got a game against Northwestern. They're going to get in. They're really good. So I do think the playoff's going to stand how it is. Would be interesting, though. Would Iowa State, if they beat Oklahoma and then one of the team, and then say Ohio State or Clemson loses, does Iowa State jump everyone with 2 losses and make it in? That'd be funny.
Yeah, there's really not any situation. I mean, there are situations where other teams could slip in. Obviously, there's always going to be a chance that other teams could, depending on how they finish with conference championship games. And just things can be shaken up depending on how other games go around those teams. But I just realistically don't think that it happens. I think that the forward that we have right now is set. I don't see Alabama being replaced as that number 1 top team in the nation. They've proved it all year. As for Clemson and Notre Dame, that matchup is going to determine and solidify that second and potentially third spot. But then again, that obviously depends on how Ohio State looks. They could obviously steal that third spot with that loser dropping to the 4th spot. But I feel like no matter what happens, I feel like this is the 4 that we're looking at. We've looked at them for quite some time now, and it doesn't appear to me that that's going to change. And that would be my 4 right there. It's going to be Alabama. It's going to be Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State.
I agree. If Clemson loses, though, to Notre Dame, I say Texas A&M gets in over them. That would be my change. I don't think you can put a Clemson team in who has lost twice to Notre Dame. And there's no excuse this time with saying, oh, yeah, we had our backup in. Trevor Lawrence is healthy. He's there. I think this is a must-win game for them. I'm not saying they don't deserve to get in, but I think that the committee would put in Texas A&M over Clemson if they were to lose.
Yeah, but at the same time, who do you think's the better team, Clemson or Texas A&M?
Oh, I think Clemson is the better team.
So why would we put A&M in? Ask 100,000 college football fans. If you were to put Clemson and Texas A&M in a neutral site field, who would win? And I'd say probably around 90 to 85% of them would say Clemson. And for that reason, you put them in the playoff. They're the better team.
I mean, that's the dilemma because, like, you want to be able to reward teams that did as much as they could with the circumstances they're in. I absolutely would agree that Clemson is hands down the better team, but it's hard to discount what Texas A&M has done. So if they were to continue and to do what they've done and have Clemson fall with that second loss, it definitely has a discussion. I personally think Clemson's still going to be locked in somewhere, whether it's that fourth spot, which it would be should they lose that game. Ohio State would end up jumping them. But I definitely think that it's worth entertaining the thought.
Yeah, I just think that the committee's already talked about putting Texas A&M over Ohio State, who's not going to lose to Northwestern. So I think there's a possibility there. I think Clemson by far is the better team, and I think they should be in the playoff, but I think they got to take care of business.
Well, taking care of business against a team like Notre Dame is not easy.
Oh, no, it's not easy at all.
You look at some of their wins. I mean, they crushed Miami. They crushed Georgia Tech. They crushed Syracuse. Game against Boston College and Notre Dame were ugly, but those were without their quarterbacks. I mean, the closest game with Trevor Lawrence this team has played was their 41-23 victory over UVA. And I mean, you look at Texas A&M, they beat Vanderbilt by 5.
Yeah.
They beat Mississippi State, who sucks, by 14. They beat Arkansas, who sucks, by 11. Now they killed South Carolina. They beat LSU, who sucks, by 13. And they beat Auburn, who is a decent team, by 11. That's probably their second best win. And they got floored by Alabama. They beat Florida, which was a good win. Like we've already mentioned, that's what's keeping them in this conversation. Like I said, if you put Texas A&M and Clemson on a neutral site field, Clemson rolls over them, and for that reason, you put them in the college football playoff. It's the 4 best teams in the nation. Okay, you can look at you can't fault a team for losing to Clemson twice, and then having insane. Notre Dame twice, and then having insane wins the rest of the year. When Texas A&M has one good win, and then another decent win. Outside of that, it's ugly wins.
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
I think Clemson should get in, but I think that when you're looking at the committee, even talking about putting Texas A&M in over Ohio State, there's just kind of some thoughts there. Even though personally, I think Clemson should be in. I think Clemson is a top 4 team in the country. So, do you guys have anything else you want to add on the college football playoff before we head into NBA talk? Okay, let's get into it. The NBA received huge news yesterday, and Parker's heart may have broken a tiny bit as Giannis has signed a 5-year, $228.5 million Supermax extension with the Milwaukee Bucks. Parker, I want you to give your thoughts first, because you've been campaigning for him to go to the Lakers for over a year, for like 2 years now.
Yeah, so I always thought we had the assets for trade. I always thought, there's a chance that he explores free agency, looks at his options, and ultimately stays with the Bucks potentially because they could offer him money no one else can. But, usually you'll see guys want to at least pique that interest and see if they can look elsewhere, to see if Miami or Golden State or LA, like if those are spots where he can maybe fill in a roster spot. Ultimately, though, he was shaken up by the Bogdanovich botch. They weren't able to get that done. I know that ruffled some feathers with him and the organization. But sure enough, they took some time and they were able to get it done. So all I can say ultimately is congrats to Giannis on getting the biggest contract in NBA history. That's awesome for him. He's a great player. He's an even better guy. So very deserving, and I think that he has a great future with Milwaukee. They're going to have to put more around him, I think, ultimately, to compete with the Lakers, because we're going to get to finals predictions, but, the Lakers don't look like a team that can be beat right now. Of course, injuries and a whole lot of obstacles could get in the way of that, but if they're healthy, I don't see anyone beating them. So he's going to need more help. Bummed he's not joining Steph in the Bay, but congrats to Giannis nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this really came as a shock to anyone. Maybe the timing of it, but I mean, Giannis, he's proven that he loves the city of Milwaukee. He loves playing for the Bucks. He just wanted the best situation for him, and the Bucks made it a priority this offseason to surround him with more talent. And I don't want to say they failed, but I mean, like they had the Bogdanovich trade, and then it didn't end up going through, which of course sucked for the Bucks. So now he gets his money. He gets to play in the city that he loves. I mean, he tweeted like, "This is my city. This is my team," or something along that line. So, good for the Bucks. Good for him. So, I can't wait to watch more Giannis in the East. Stay in the East, Giannis. Lakers and vote.
Yeah. I think you guys are also forgetting they did get Drew Holiday, which I think is big. He's an upgrade. He's a great defender. I think he is better than Eric Bledsoe. So I think that's an upgrade. But I definitely see what you guys are getting at. That the loss and the botch of the Bogdanovich trade, I think, did ruffle some feathers. But at the same time, it's still big for them to get Giannis locked up. It's insane to think that he just got the largest deal in NBA history, and he's the reigning 2-time MVP. He's insane. Each year, he has gotten better. Each year, he has increased his points per game, his rebounds per game. He has continued to get better and better each year. He saw a slight dip in his assists last year, but he's still playing at an insane level. He is what has led the Bucks to have such insane records and to be the 1 seed. And I think if Giannis is healthy against the Heat, it's a different series. But that's in the past. I think this Bucks team is very good. I think they're a team to continue to watch. And I think they're a team that's going to easily be in contention for the East. So it's great to see that Giannis is staying in the East because we all know that's not the strongest conference. The strongest conference is by far the Western Conference. And Giannis makes the Eastern Conference really relevant. And I think it's big to have him stay there. So it's good for the Bucks, of course, to retain their star, but it's great for the East to have that star player there to keep them relevant because all the talks about how deep the Western Conference is. Now, this is probably our last show before the start of the NBA season, which starts next week.
Hard to believe.
What?
Hard to believe.
It's insane. A short offseason. I'm not complaining. I'm ready to see some basketball. We have NBA. We got college basketball and NFL. What else can we need? Of course, I'd love to have baseball, but that's not feasible right now. But I'm excited. So let's start off with some predictions, and let's go MVP. Who are your guys' predictions for MVP?
Tough. You go first, honestly, this one took a lot of thought from me.
Go with Anthony Davis of the Lakers. Lakers info. It's always going to be that way. Always has been. Best franchise, NBA. And he's such a talented player. He can go in the post. He can run the pick and roll. He can shoot the threes. I mean, I don't know what more I need to say about Anthony Davis. Kid's a stud. Signed that contract in this offseason. It's going to remain with LeBron. And we know that LeBron, with his age, he's not going to be able to play as much this year because of the shortened offseason. I think Anthony Davis is going to have to take some of that burden off of his shoulders in games that he doesn't play. And he's going to have to really step up for the Lakers to win those games. And for that reason, I think he wins MVP.
Yeah, it's so tough every year. I love taking these awards, but there's so many quality players in the league. Like, I know, especially after the bubble, like Damian Lillard's a guy that comes to mind. Luka Doncic, who I thought early on last year was going to win. There's a lot of good ones, and I don't want to have a Warriors bias, but I just feel like with Klay's injury, like Steph's stock goes up significantly because we've seen like similar players like Russell Westbrook where he was the man, and sure, he had some other guys like Steven Adams and Roberson and some pieces that he could have around him. It wasn't much, and although Steph has more than Westbrook ever had in that situation, I feel like there's a lot of reasons that would lead me to believe he could win it this year. I was pretty high on him doing it last year, but of course that was wiped with the wrist injury. Missed almost the entire remainder of the season, came back late before COVID and all the bubble games took place when the Warriors were not included in that. So I think that there's a good chance that the reigning 2-time MVP can make it 3. He only has so many years where he could compete at an MVP caliber level. I feel like this is hands down the best chance that he's had in a while, being that he's not going to have Klay Thompson in that backcourt. He's going to have to do a lot. He's going to take more shots. And with Steph, his efficiency actually improves with the larger volume of shots he takes. So it's a hard decision, but I'm going to go with Steph on this one.
This one was tough, but I'm going to go with Luka. I think Luka took a huge step last year, and he is a superstar now. And I expect a lot from him, and I think he's going to be in the MVP race, and I think he is going to dethrone Giannis and win it. Now, Coach of the Year. Who do we see again, Coach of the Year?
I have Mike Budenholzer of the Bucks. They've done a lot of good things. They brought in Drew Holiday. Yeah, that Bogdanovich one, they really messed up there. That would have been a huge asset for them. I know Giannis would have appreciated it. He respects his game. But I feel like this is a team that can continue to compete and be the top seed in the East. I don't have them making out of the East, just as a little, I guess, precursor to what's ahead for when we make our finals predictions. But I think that they're a team that could win the regular season award, because that's what it is. It's supposed to go towards coaching in the regular season. Postseason is not supposed to be taken into account with these. I see them winning a whole lot of games, and I think that depending on how they go about doing it and how dominant they are, he could win this award. He didn't win it last year when they were the number 1 seed, so it could lead me to be a little bit hesitant as to picking him, but I feel like the pieces are going to come together, and he's going to be able to win the award this year, because it's hard to predict what teams are going to take huge steps next, so I feel like that's definitely one of the safer picks.
For me, I'm going to take the Hawks coach, Lloyd Pierce. I think the Hawks are going to take a huge jump. They've made a lot of offseason additions. I think they're going to be a playoff team in the East. If they could sneak up in that 6-5-4 seed range in the Eastern Conference, which I think that roster is capable of, I'd give Lloyd Pierce Coach of the Year.
I'm going Rick Carlisle of the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks are going to be a team that's going to be in it and competing for that Western Conference with the Lakers and the Clippers. Do I think they'll get it? No, but I think they'll be there competing for it. I think they're going to be an extremely high seed. I think they could be a team that's a 3 or 4 seed, and I think Rick Carlisle is going to be a big piece of that, and I think he could win Coach of the Year for it. Rookie of the Year. We had a weird draft. No, big standout guys who are just above everyone else. Who do we think is getting Rookie of the Year?
I'm going to go with LaMelo Ball. There's some guys in, the top 5 that you could look to. I know James Wiseman's not a good one, of course, but can't forget the first overall pick, Anthony Edwards, over there in Minnesota. But I feel like LaMelo Ball's game is going to translate well. He's a 6'7" point guard. He's got incredible handles. He gets to the hoop, he finishes, and he can hit threes. I love what he brings to the table. He could still be a little bit of a project early on, like he was when he was playing over in Australia, and even before that, just playing overseas in Europe. I think that he's been able to play against grown men and professionals, and I think that definitely helps his game. We're seeing the NBA, I don't want to say transition because that's not the right term, but we're definitely seeing the NBA look more favorably upon these European players because of how good they truly are. We see every time with the Olympics how good some of these teams can be and how they can compete with the USA. Of course, most teams don't, but for the ones that do, there are some very quality players as a result. And I think that he can be very good for Charlotte. Of course, there are all the jokes about LaVar. He was answering some questions about a whole lot of stuff. One was MJ, of course, that one-on-one that will never happen. But I do think that LaMelo brings a lot to the table. And I like what he's going to bring because I think that he can average a fair amount of points. And he's going to take a lot of shots because there's only so many guys around him that are going to take those shots. So I feel like although he won't be as efficient as some of the other players, he's going to get the award because of the stats.
I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey of the 76ers. They've lacked that shooter on that team for a long time, and he brings that presence from how he played at the University of Kentucky last year. He, along with Emmanuel Quickley, were starting to get hot at the end of last year, and I think that continues over into his rookie season with the 76ers. I could see him averaging like 16 points per game, just strictly shooting threes, and I think he gets NBA Rookie of the Year.
I'm going to agree with Parker. LaMelo Ball. He's been super impressive in those preseason games, and I think he is the guy who I think out of the top 3 is most ready for the league, yet I still think he's a project. Has great vision, has great ball handling, great passing. He's a solid shooter, and he's physical. He led the Hornets in rebounds in a couple games, and I think that's going to be vital. He brings a lot to the table, and I think that the stats are what's going to lead him, and I think that's why he's going to get it. But don't forget about he's also got a great partner in the backcourt with Devontae Graham. Yeah, you can say it's my Kansas bias, but he's the guy that should have won Most Improved Player last year. But I think that he is going to be a good piece with LaMelo, but I think LaMelo is going to win Rookie of the Year. Next up, Defensive Player of the Year.
For me, it's Anthony Davis. I feel like he put up numbers that warranted it last year. He was my pick to win it after seeing what he was able to do. So I'm going to go with him again this year. I expect him to play extremely well. Don mentioned a good point for minutes. I think that could definitely play dividends, not just LeBron, but the team as a whole. So I think that he's going to have to shoulder a large load, and part of that's going to be on the defensive side of things. He brings a lot as far as rim protecting and as far as just playing overall good defense versus multiple positions. So I expect him to do just enough to get that award.
Yeah, I'm going to go with AD as well. Like Parker mentioned, I thought he should have won it last year. That's not even my Lakers bias. I mean, he was super good. I mean, Giannis was also a very good defender, so no fault there. But I'm going to take Anthony Davis.
I agree. I'm going AD. I agree with both of you last year that I think he should have won it, and that's just a testament to how terrific he was on the defensive end. It's nothing against Giannis. Giannis was a terrific defender, but I think AD deserved it, and I think this year AD is going to get it. Next up, Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah. So this one, I mean, this took a lot of thought because you got to think with guys moving around, guys that are previously on the bench, and whether or not they'll start within the teams. So you got to take that into consideration. A guy that I know has been up for the award multiple times, Eric Gordon. I feel like with where the Rockets are right now, I definitely think there's a lot of turmoil. That James Harden situation is very strange right now. They're going to need other guys to step up. They brought in Christian Wood. DeMarcus Cousins, who's healthy now. We'll see what he's able to do. He's resting when he's on that championship Lakers team. So his legs are good to go. There's some other key guys that are going to definitely play an impact for this team alongside John Wall and James Harden, depending on how the season goes. But I feel like Eric Gordon's always been a really underrated piece to that team. So I think the thing that he has been up for that award in past years, I can definitely see him being one of the strong candidates this time around.
I'm going to go with Goran Dragic of the Miami Heat. We kind of saw how well he performed in the playoffs. He didn't really put up the type of numbers he did in the regular season that he did in the playoffs. I think they'll lean more on him in the regular season than they did last year, and he wins Sixth Man of the Year with the Miami Heat.
I'm going to say two guys because the first one depends on how he's going to be used. First guy, I'm going to say Dennis Schroeder for one reason. If Frank Vogel uses him right, he will bring him off the bench to balance the ball handling between LeBron and him. They want to have a ball handler on the court at all times, so have Dennis be the leader of the second unit. That's what I think would be the best fit for them, and I think that's what would get him Sixth Man of the Year. But if not, if they decide to start him, I'm going to go with Spencer Dinwiddie. I think he is going to have a great year, and I think he's going to be a guy that comes off the bench and is a great, valuable piece for the Nets.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to say I agree with that because I would have also leaned towards Dennis. Just the uncertainty of whether or not they'll use him as a starting point guard is what led me away. But should he come off the bench, which I think would mesh very well with the second unit, I would also take him. But
yeah,
I'm with Eric Gordon because I don't know that for a fact. But yeah, I would not be surprised if he wins that award should he come off the bench.
Yeah, if Dennis comes off the bench, I think he'll win it. Next up, Most Improved Player. Who do we think is going to win MIP this year?
I think that it's Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he's going to be coming into another season as a young, talented player. He showed some signs in the bubble. Of course, when it comes to the Nuggets, Jamal Murray was flashing. He was doing everything that he could. So we could definitely see him be a very strong candidate as well. Should he match, or at least, I don't want to say match, because the expectations are extremely high for him now. If he could at least have something relatively similar, maybe digress just a little bit, but enough to be within reach for him to lead that Nuggets to a lot of wins. All of a sudden, it sounds like my pick is him, but it's not. It is Michael Porter Jr. So I'll get back to him. I think that he's one of the more talented young small forwards in this league, and I think that he could take that next step. Injuries were a huge concern coming out of Missouri in the draft, but he's been able to diminish that. The Nuggets have used him very well, and I think that if he can stay healthy for a full season and get good minutes, then he could definitely be a very quality player that can definitely warrant winning in a league like that.
How about some Lonzo Ball action? Lonzo, this might be his last shot as a starter in the NBA. If he doesn't play well this year, it could be, he could have to move on at some point. Because New Orleans, they're kind of in that win now mindset. They're building for the future. I feel like this is a make or break year for Lonzo, the GOAT, and I think he takes advantage of it. He's going to average near 20. He's going to be that ball. He's going to be that primary ball handler alongside with Zion and Brandon Ingram. And I think that the Pelicans have a good year because of it.
I'm going to agree with Parker on Michael Porter Jr. I had the pleasure to watch him when I was in high school because he played my high school, and he and his brother Jonte just tore it up. Michael Porter threw himself an alley-oop off the backboard twice. So it was insane. But I'm going to go with Michael Porter. He showed a lot in the playoffs, and I think he's that guy. Extremely talented. I think he was kind of a steal for where they drafted him at the 14th spot. So I think that's another thing. But also I think the loss of Torrey Craig for the Nuggets is going to open up more minutes for him at the small forward position. So I think that's going to help him. But I think Michael Porter's going to come away with this award. Now, our final prediction before we move to the NFL. Our finals prediction. Who is our finals matchup and who's our winner?
So I feel like, I can't speak for anyone, but I feel like most people agree the Lakers are the best team. Like, they literally found a way to get better this offseason after being the championship caliber team that they were. So this is a team that brought in Dennis Schroeder. They have Montrezl Harrell. I expect this team to be very dominant, and I don't see anyone deep running them. I see them playing the Nets. I don't want to be like one of those bandwagon Nets fans that jumps on and thinks so highly, but I don't see how I can't, because the Bucks have shown their inability to make it deep. They concern me in that regard. The Celtics are another very good team that comes to mind that I considered, but when it comes to the Nets, KD's healthy. I expect him to be a monster like usual. He's got Kyrie Irving. If those two can mesh well, or at least well enough, I think that they can get that far. The chemistry between those two worries me a little bit. I feel like if things start to go south, they kind of butt heads a little bit. But I feel like those two, with all the depth pieces, like Dinwiddie, like LeVert, like DeAndre Jordan, like a ton of different guys that they have coming off the bench outside of just those two-star players, is a lot to handle for any team. So I feel like that's the matchup that I feel like ultimately the Lakers could fail, and it'd be a relatively quick series.
Lakers Nets. I've said for a while that I believe that the Nets are going to be a very solid team with that KD and Kyrie duo. I even said to my friends back here in Cali that the Nets would be the 2021 NBA champions, but Lakers and foe. I was going to say it. Lakers, man. LeBron, AD, Vogel's actually a good coach. They got Schroeder now, Montrezl Harrell. Too good. Lakers and foe.
I'm going to go Lakers Bucks. I think the addition of Jrue Holiday and I think new contract for Giannis are going to mesh well, and I think that team is going to finally make a finals appearance and face off against LeBron and the Lakers, but they will fall short. I don't think this Lakers team is going to be dethroned. This team looks unbeatable, and I think they're going to repeat and get their 18th championship in franchise history and finally beat out the Celtics, who are at 17. So let's move on to the NBA, to the NFL. Sorry about that one. Week 14. We had a crazy week. But I want to start off with Jalen Hurts wins his first NFL start against the Saints. What did you guys see from Jalen Hurts that show positive sides? And what does this mean for Carson Wentz?
It's just the combination of him being able to run the ball and throw the ball. I mean, he wasn't asked to do too much throwing the ball. I mean, he barely had over 50% completion percentage. Never really threw the ball too far down the field, which is fine. That's not what they asked him to do. That's not the type of quarterback Jalen Hurts is going to be. And it worked. And listen, I said on last week's show that this game would be closer than everyone said because the Saints, they have that one game every year where they go on the road, they leave the dome, it's cold, and they have a big opponent coming up the next week with the Kansas City Chiefs coming into the dome. And I was exactly right. Now I didn't want to go on record and say that they were going to win it because I didn't want to lose that game and pick them. But Jalen Hurts, he came out, he performed well, and I was encouraged by what I saw because that offensive line isn't very good. The receivers aren't very good. It's not going to play well for a guy like Carson Wentz who likes to hold on to the ball and has certainly lost mobility over the years considering his injuries. So, I mean, Jalen Hurts certainly seems like he's going to be the future in Philly, but that situation there is such a dumpster fire because they're paying Wentz so much money. They're not going to have any trade value in Wentz because, I mean, he looks really bad and they're paying him a lot of money. So it's tough. It's a tough situation for Philly, but, I mean, you got to do what's best for the team. You got to try and get maybe a 6th-round pick or something like that for Wentz. Maybe send him to Indy because Phillip is a free agent after this year, and Carson Wentz worked really well with Frank Reich, who is now the head coach in Indianapolis. So I think that it's time to move on from Carson.
Yeah, I mean, with Jalen Hurts, he brought a new spark to the team. To be able to see that was very nice. To see him come in and do that, I definitely think it was a morale boost. They rallied behind him in ways they hadn't with Wentz. It seems like a lot of the players had lost faith in him. And the thing with Wentz is, like, he has nothing. He had no resources to be successful this season. But for whatever reason, the team was able to elevate their game. The Saints definitely looked ahead. They have a pivotal game against the Chiefs. They know how significant that game is. So it definitely appears that there are reasons to believe that is what they're doing. Otherwise, there's just no situation in which they should lose to this Eagles team. Of course, all you can do is look at college film for Jalen Hurts. You don't have any NFL tape on him, but that shouldn't matter. They're a much better team, and you should have steamrolled them. But congratulations to Jalen Hurts. I thought it was a very difficult situation to put him in. I hadn't really looked a week ahead to see if they were going to play the Chiefs, and that maybe they would game plan a little bit for them and be a little bit unprepared for him and this Eagles team. But congratulations to Jalen Hurts on getting his first career win, and it was nice to see. It was a big upset.
Yeah, that was a big upset, and it frustrated me. But
why is that?
Overall,
Why is
I
that?
thought Jalen Hurts. We're not going to talk about why.
I
We're not going to talk about why.
okay.
We're not going to talk about why. We'll leave it at that. But the Saints, they just didn't look good. The offense was not very efficient in the first half. They really struggled. And they got their footing a little bit in the second half. But what really cost them was that horrible 4th down play that they went for, which I agree with the call for going for 4th down on it for 4th down, but I just disagree with the play call. I thought the play call was awful. And the Eagles got through the Saints offensive line, which I did not expect. They got a lot of pressure on Taysom Hill throughout that game. And I think that was a big difference maker for them. But got to give credit to Jalen Hurts. He did what he had to do to get them the win. Like Dom said, he wasn't asked to do much passing the ball. He did what he had to do throwing the ball. And his value really came when he had to run the ball. And he did a great job doing it. And it really fueled them to the win. But I think that whatever you can get for Carson Wentz, you got to do it. You just have to. Whatever you can get. Even if it's just like a 6th-rounder or something like that, you just have to get something for him. Carson Wentz is not the same. He's made of glass. He's not playing well. And I think Indy is a good fit with him because he was most successful with Frank Reich. And I think that getting them back together might actually revitalize something for Wentz. But I don't know if the Colts are going to want to take on that contract. But they've got to figure something out because Jalen Hurts is the future there. And they need to figure something out with Wentz to get rid of him. Otherwise, they're just going to be paying him millions and millions of dollars to sit on the bench. That's really what it comes down to. Next up,
it's really an unfortunate situation because he was going to be the MVP in 2017. He was good in 2018, good in 2019, and this year it's just not.
Let me say this.
Clicked.
I said this last week. I think the offense was better with Nick Foles in 2017. Much more efficient. If you look at, I looked at some splits, and also thanks to
he was better on third down for sure. Yeah. But
he got them into some bad third down situations. He just made great plays. But I think the offense was more efficient with Nick Foles.
Yeah, and they moved the ball better with Nick Foles. But that being that, if you were to ask me who would you rather have, Carson Wentz or Nick Foles, I'm taking Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Okay, next up. I got to mention it. The Steelers fall to the Bills for the second straight week with a loss. The Chiefs take over the number 1 seed. What do you guys see for the Steelers the rest of the way?
I still think they're the third best team in the AFC. Now, the Colts could beat them this week. I think they're the fourth best team. So this is kind of proving everything that I've thought about the Steelers. Their offense, it's not great. It's good. Their defense is very good, probably still the best in the league. But the Bills are the second best team in the AFC. They have been for a long while. Everyone came into the season thinking that the top 2 teams in the AFC were going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens, no matter what order you put them in. I had the Ravens at 1. I was wrong. But I think the most people, then there's, of course, the delusional Patriots fans like Mr. Fortuna, who most people had the Bills as the number 3 team. And with the Ravens not being that top 2 team, which I think they're still up there as one of the top teams in the AFC, we've seen that the past couple of weeks. The Bills have slotted in at that number 2 team. And I believe I said this last week, but the Bills are the biggest competition to the Chiefs in the NFL. And if you don't agree with that, I don't know what you've been watching the past month, because this Bills offense is rolling. The defense is playing a lot better than what it was at the beginning of the year. So I don't think this game was necessarily like a knock on the Steelers. The people that are just counting them out, I think, are stupid. But the Bills, they're circling the bandwagons for sure. And I hope we can get a Bills Chiefs AFC championship game after, of course, Philip Rivers goes into Heinz Field and beats Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers.
Yeah, no surprise here with the Steelers losing that game. Pick the Bills. I think I don't remember what you guys picked.
Us three had Bills, and then resident Patriots fan did not.
Yeah, I should have known.
Hold on. Let me correct you there, Dom. Delusional Patriots fan.
I want to say delusional. I would agree, but I just wanted to go with the word resident.
Yeah,
because he is our resident.
Yeah, he made that pick. Whatever. It's not a bad pick. The Steelers are a very good team, but
right.
The Bills won that game. I do agree they are the second best team behind the Chiefs, and I feel like when you compare the Steelers and the Chiefs with the same record that they had going into this week, or I guess last week, technically speaking now, they were just 2 very different teams. The Chiefs were above and beyond them. Like, obviously, they are like that third best team in my opinion as well in the AFC. I don't think there's very much disputing that. I feel like the Bills and the Chiefs, of course, more than anything, have proven that up until this point. But they just seem like 2 drastically different one-loss teams. So I think that the Steelers are a very good team. The offense can be a little bit iffy, but they do have a very good defense to fall back on. They've been able to utilize that. Their schedule's been weird. They almost lost to Jeff Driscoll. I love bringing that up any chance I get. But they're still a very good team. They have 2 losses for a reason. Their schedule gets difficult. Seeing a potential matchup with the Colts, I think, would be a very good one. I would love to see that. I'd also love to see the Bills play the Chiefs. Those would be 2 phenomenal games. But I don't think that this really changed anything about how I viewed the Steelers team. I expected them to lose this game. The Bills are rolling. They're definitely more balanced than they are. So this is kind of how I expected it to shape out going into last week.
Again, like I said last week, the Steelers' run game is just not really there. I think that's affected their offense. Also, their receivers are dropping the ball way too much.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson has brick hands. He has brick hands.
Yeah.
He does, yeah.
The
he's
dude
still
has,
receiving
he's
yards.
electric after the catch. He is absolutely
Yeah.
electric after the catch. But
If he can
his
catch the
brick
ball,
hands.
I think
Right.
he has the yips. I think that would be the only way to describe it because he is struggling a ton. But honestly, I've known this. I've said it before. The Bills and the Chiefs are the two best teams in the AFC. It didn't take last week for me to know that. The Steelers are the third best team with the Colts right behind them. But it didn't take much for me to know that. It was obvious because the Bills are a very good team. They've got a solid defense. They've got a very good offense. And I think that is a team that's going to give the Chiefs the biggest run for their money in the AFC. That's my opinion, and I think that's kind of a fact at this point. Any other games from Week 14 that really stood out to you guys, other than Monday night, because I want to talk about that after we find any other games?
Obviously, I was going to bring that game up.
Yeah.
Trying to look. The Chiefs game was certainly something to look out for because,
I have one.
I don't think that the interceptions weren't as bad as people were giving Mahomes crap for.
The first one wasn't. The first one, the reason I was frustrated with the first one was that he had Tyreek on the opposite side of the field on the screen, and he faked it over to him. I think he still should have threw it over there. The interceptions weren't that bad. They weren't. And you know what? I got to give Xavier Howard a ton of credit for that interception. That was insane. That second one was probably his fault. He sailed it a little bit on Elaire. But the thing is, when Mahomes has his off day, the Chiefs are still going to put up 30 points.
Against a top 5 defense in the NFL.
Exactly.
And once again, we're starting to see those cracks within the Chiefs. If you can try and limit them in the red zone, get some turnovers, and
I'm
then
actually very pleased with the red zone. They actually scored a touchdown this time.
right.
And actually, I think it was just play calling in that situation because you saw them try to get cute with that end around with Hill and then that Philly special with Kelsey. Play calling just has to be better. I don't think it was anything with the Chiefs offense. I think it was just play calling. And I think that Andy Reid, he said that. It's play calling.
Yeah, but you got to see the adjustments being made in order for you to start believing in it. And they've got three more tune-up games. I'd assume this game against the Saints is huge this week. But we're starting to see it. Play good defense against them, get a few turnovers, get a few stops, and then try and hold on to the ball. Tua was, pretty solid. He had that one really bad underthrow on the deep ball. If he makes that throw, this is now 5 straight one-possession games for the Chiefs. So, like I said, they are the best team in the NFL. I would be a fool to rank anyone above them, but the gap is a lot smaller than people realize.
And really, it's what's frustrated me the entire time with Andy Reid. He goes conservative, and he has to get away from that. Him going conservative, trying to run the ball with 8 minutes in the third quarter was a horrible decision. He's got to be better, and he's got to keep his foot on the gas. It's going to come back to bite him at some point, and I don't want it to happen in the playoffs. So it's got to happen at some point that he's got to keep his foot on the gas. But let's get into Monday night. What a crazy game. Whoever bet the over, good work. Very good work.
Whoever bet the Browns, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Whoever had the Browns +3, I'm sorry.
Did you have the Browns, Ryan?
No. I had the over in the game.
Nice.
But one of my brother's friends had Browns +3, and then that safety at the end.
Pain.
Brutal.
That's
Prayers
unfortunate.
up.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it for all those
It's a
people out there. who
Great
have
example of my theory. Gambling bad.
I'm actually on a roll, kind of. So not too bad for me.
That's making up for the hundreds of dollars you've lost.
Hey, no, not hundreds. Come on. Maybe 100. Hey, I've gotten paid out a few times.
Okay.
But that game was insane. Lamar comes back after cramps when Trace McSorley comes down, throws that dime to Marquise Brown, touchdown, and then leads them down the field at the end. I knew that at the end, when they had a minute to get down the field, I knew the Browns left them too much time.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because when you're down by that touchdown, you have to go in and score. Because, I mean, if you go down at the 1 yard line and then, of course, you don't end up scoring, you're all of a sudden the clown and the fool. So it's a tough spot. I mean, obviously, like if you can go down on like the inch line and then go up and QB sneak it, then that's ideal. But I mean, it's hard to fault Kareem Hunt for getting into the end zone because when you're down that touchdown, it's a bit different. So, I mean, yeah, it was tough. As someone in our pick'em who had the Browns, and if I get that game, I'm up 4 games instead of 2 games. That could make a huge difference. So, nice pick, Ryan. But what a game! To all the haters, shut up. Baker's good. Lamar's good. I don't care what anyone says. Both these guys played great games, especially Baker Mayfield. I mean, that Ravens defense is really good. And the Browns made them look like idiots. And the offense that the Browns are working with Kevin Stefanski, with the run and then just beautiful play action, is superb. And it's making Baker look like a good quarterback because he is one. And the people who say Lamar can't throw, I mean, Lamar, he orchestrated that beautiful 4th down play, and then he orchestrated that just went straight down the field against the Browns to set up the game-winning field goal. Haters need to shut up. I mean, primetime game, everyone was watching, and they got to see both guys who have got a ton of hate, and they came out and performed, and they certainly performed for their teams to win the game.
Yeah, that was a very good game from start to finish. But of course, to see them rally off at the end there, late in the 4th quarter, was really exciting to watch. Just so many change of events, but just thinking like with the Browns and like scoring and leaving so much time. Yeah, of course, ideally, like you said, you want to give them as little amount of time as possible, but you just want to tie the game up ultimately. Like you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're getting stopped at the goal line, you're getting stuffed. Because like we saw with Todd Gurley earlier with the Falcons, he accidentally scored. He wanted to stop at the 1. That was a different situation because they wanted to run out the clock and then kick the field goal or at least run it in. But this is a situation where you can't fault him for scoring because at that point you're relieved. You tied the game. You're going to see what your defense can do, fall back on them, and see if you could prevent that Ravens offense from getting Tucker within literally any yard mark because that man is literally absolutely insane. Of course, yeah, he had the extra point blocked and all that, but he is an unbelievable kicker. He's the most accurate one in NFL history. So you knew if the Ravens got it somewhat close, the odds of him making it are very good from 50 yards and beyond. So that was just a really good game from start to finish. I enjoyed watching it. And it definitely was one of the best, if not the best games that I've seen all season.
Yeah, I flew home and missed the first 3 quarters of it. But I got to watch the end, which was awesome. And I think, like you guys said, you can't fault Kareem Hunt for scoring. And I don't fault Kareem Hunt at all. He made the right move. He had to score. He wanted to score to tie the game up. It's just Lamar got him down the field and did a great job of doing it. And got Justin Tucker right in range, and he nailed the field goal. And that's just really how it goes sometimes. So great win for the Ravens. That's big for them to really stick with the Dolphins for that final spot. And it keeps the Raiders farther away from the playoffs, which I'm very happy with.
I don't think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs anymore.
No,
they
won't.
They've missed out on a couple of opportunities. I mean, the Colts are a better team than them. Shout out Phil. But the Raiders, they're certainly a team for the future. If they can fix that defense up, they've got a lethal offense.
Well, they made the first move, and they fired their DC and Paul Gunther, which they should have. He's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the Raiders are going to miss out on the playoffs this year, but it wouldn't shock me to see them there next year. Now, to end the show, we're doing our pick-ems. Let's do the standings update. Pat is in last by 20 games with a record of 115, 92, and 1. Parker, third place, 135, 72 and 1. I am in second place with a record of 138, 69 and 1. And Dom is in first with a record of 140, 67 and 1. Dom, I'm coming, buddy. I cut
Yeah.
that down.
You had a nice week. I missed 2 games that weren't really close. With the Giants, I didn't expect Daniel Jones to come on and play that poorly, and then Nick Mullins got squashed by the football team defense. I'm putting too much trust and faith in Kyle Shanahan. Oh well. And then the Browns-Ravens game, great game. You switched your pick and were correct. So gotta give props to you. You had a good week.
Thank you. Now let's start off with Week 15, Thursday night, Chargers in Los Angeles.
The Raiders.
Well, it's Chargers in Las Vegas. Let's get that
jeez.
correct.
Yeah, Las Vegas. My bad.
Give me the RAIDERS. Raiders.
I'll take the Raiders in this one over the
boy.
Chargers. The Bills travel to Denver.
I will take the Bills.
I'm going to take the Bills. I can see the Broncos giving the Bills a tough time. They've played really well as of late. They are immune to the Chiefs hangover. They are 2-0 after playing the Chiefs. So
I forgot about that.
and that kind of blew up in my face last week. Oh, well. I'll take the Bills, though. I mean, going into altitude on a Saturday game could be choppy, and Denver's defense has been playing pretty well. So I'm still going to take the Bills, though.
I'm going to take the Bills as well. I think that offense is rolling. But the Broncos, I think, are going to keep it close. They have a very good defense, especially in the red zone, a top 5 defense in the red zone. Next up, Carolina travels to Lambeau to take on the Packers.
Packers, but this is a game where Carolina's coming off a loss. Could be relatively close. You never know. The Packers they always worry me with their consistency. They play down to their opponents. I'm still gonna take them. I feel like it'd be foolish for me not to, but I could definitely see a situation in which this is a much closer game than the average fan will expect.
It's probably going to be pretty cold. Night game in middle of December in Green Bay, the frozen tundra. So it's probably going to be close, especially considering that the Panthers are going to have to run the ball. Now, I mean, Teddy Two Gloves could have an advantage in this cold game. He's used to playing in Minnesota, so who knows? I think this should be a close game, like Parker mentioned. I'm going to take the Packers, though.
Yeah, I agree with you both. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think the cold is going to benefit Teddy Two Gloves. I think he's going to have a good game. And I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to take the Packers in this one. Next up, Houston travels to Indianapolis to take on the Colts.
Colts.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts. Colts are moving, and their offense has been performing well as of late, ever since that terrible game against the Titans. I think they continue to perform well, and hopefully they do me well in fantasy. Got Jonathan Taylor and T.Y. Hilton starting this week, and I might
Hey, says the man who says nobody cares about fantasy.
I'm talking about this game, Ryan, because the Texans defense is very good. Might also start Phillip, but that would be risky. But I do think the Colts groove past Houston. I mean, Houston's come to the point where they're just kind of over the season. They got after that fumbled snap against the Colts 2 weeks ago, you could kind of see like they were deflated. They thought they had that win, and then they just got crushed by Chicago. Nice pick, Parker, by the way.
Thank you. The one time the Bears actually were good to me.
Right.
I'm going to take the Colts in this one as well. They had a close matchup a couple weeks ago, but I think the Colts are just trending up. That offense is playing really well. Next up, Dom just mentioned them. Detroit travels to Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee as well.
Give me King Henry and the Titans. Next up, the Buccaneers coming off of who they faced last week. Why is my brain just crumbling like this?
Vikings.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. Tampa Bay's coming off a win over the Vikings. They travel to division rival Atlanta this week.
I think they keep it going. They'll make it another one back to back.
Yeah, like I said, I think they're gonna roll all the way through, and I think they can be a hot team entering the playoffs, giving the Bucks.
I'm going to take the Bucks as well. New England travels to Miami.
Give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great game. I think if any team's capable of coming off of the Chiefs hangover, it is the Dolphins. One of the most well coached teams in the league, and the Patriots aren't very good. Now the Patriots divisional matchup, they need this win, otherwise they're done in playoff contention. I mean, they're not going to make it, but they do need this win. It's a divisional game. They're coming off of a mini bye. It's going to be close, but I do think the Dolphins end up winning.
I'm going to take the Dolphins as well. I think that defense is just going to stifle Cam Newton and the Patriots offense in this one. Next up, Seattle travels to Washington to face the football team.
Give me the Birds. Seahawks.
I think this has the potential to be an absolutely great game. Football team is playing great right now, but Seahawks defense has been very good over the past 4 to 5 weeks. I think they continue that, and they kind of build on that game, that offensive performance from the Jets. Now, I mean, it is the Jets. Take it for what it's worth, but I will take the Seahawks here.
This is tough for me. This is real tough. I really want to pick Washington. Really bad. But I don't want to get screwed over in the pick'ems.
Dude, you should be picking games you think's going to win.
Give me Washington.
Okay.
Give me the football team in this one.
I think it's a good pick.
Next up, Chicago travels to Minnesota.
Picked them last week. I'm not going to this time. I'm going to take the Vikings on this one.
I'm going to take the Bears here. I think they're starting to realize that they have a chance to make the playoffs. Mitchell Trubisky's been playing well. I'm going to take the Bears in this one. The Vikings, did they cut Dan Bailey yesterday or on Monday?
Nope.
How? Oh, that's rough. I think the Bears win this game.
Vikings need this game to stay in the playoff contention, and I think they're going to get it at home. I take the Vikings. Next up, probably the easiest game to pick. Jaguars travel to Buffalo. Not Buffalo, Baltimore.
Give me the Ravens.
I'll take Buffalo in this one. Just kidding. I'll take the Ravens,
Hey,
obviously.
where I would.
I'll take the Ravens as well. Next up, the 49ers travel to Dallas, who is retaining their coach for next year, which I'm a very big fan of that move.
I will take the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the 49ers as well. I hate this game because the 49ers aren't playing very well, but their offense is going to be able to just pound the Cowboys' defense. So, Niners.
I'm going to go with the Niners as well in this one. I like the Cowboys, but I'm going to go with the Niners in this one. Next up, Jets travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams.
Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, Rams.
What a very exciting pick.
J-E-T-S. Jets are going to lose. Give me the Rams.
I had a feeling that's what you're going about.
Next up, Eagles travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals.
Give me the Cardinals. Great bird matchup. Give me the Cardinals. Jalen Hurts
It is-
is a global quarterback against Kyler Murray. I do like that matchup.
Yeah, no, this will be a great game. And there's going to be 2 really good games on in the afternoon window, and I'm hoping it's only 2. I'm hoping it's only 2 for my sake as a Rams fan, because I hope we just kill them and I can turn that game off. I picked against the Cardinals last week and it backfired. I was very impressed by their offense. They actually looked competent for a week, which they hadn't really looked that competent in a couple of weeks, especially against a very good Giants defense. Now, I mean, they were given great field position. Eagles defense is playing very well right now, but there's now more film on Jalen Hurts. I think the Cardinals are going to have another good defensive performance. I think the Cardinals take this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cardinals. Hassan Reddick's coming off a franchise game with 5 sacks. I think that defense is really starting to hit its stride without Chandler Jones. I think the offense is playing a lot better, so I'm going to take the Cardinals. Next up, Chiefs, Saints. And let me say this. It's going to be so nice to now I can watch the Chiefs on cable and not have to stream it.
Yeah, this is so hard. Oh my god. I mean, what a matchup. Potential Super Bowl preview, maybe. But hey, it's just like everything tells me like I don't like picking against the Chiefs because they're the safest bet in the entire league. They're the best team for a reason. But I just have to think like after that Eagles loss, the Saints were definitely game planning for the Chiefs. And I feel like if the Chiefs are going to suffer any more losses, potentially for the remainder of the season, should they go on the repeat, this would be that game. So I'm going to go with the Saints. It's going to suck should it not happen, which there's a good chance it won't because of how good they are. But I feel like there's a lot of indicators that lead me to believe that this is the right week to pick this kind of game.
Yeah, I really want to pick against the Chiefs. I think that the Saints have that build to beat the Chiefs, but it's hard. I don't have any reason to pick against Patrick Mahomes right now, and I mean Taysom Hill sucks. I'm gonna go on record and say that. Old takes exposed. Come get me. I don't care. I think I'm gonna be right on this one. I mean,
I hope I still get exposed still. I still have that tweet pinned. I'm kind of waiting for it.
yeah, I know. I've been waiting. Are the Broncos? They're technically not eliminated from the playoff.
Yeah, mathematically, it takes a really long time for those teams to get eliminated. So technically, they're still alive. Like last year, they were alive for a while. They were alive going into week 17. It just took like 7 other games to happen. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on it. Yeah, because I definitely know that it is pinned. Real ones remember, Parker.
Oh yeah, I'm willing to take my punishment. That's why I put it up there.
Anyways, back to the game. I can't pick Taysom Hill over Patrick Mahomes because it doesn't seem like Drew Brees is going to play. So I will take the Chiefs here in this game.
This is tough.
Thank you.
This is tough for me. Shut up, Dom. Shut up. But I'm going to go with the quarterback thing, like Dom. I cannot take Taysom Hill over Patrick Mahomes. I just can't. No way. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but I think it's going to be extremely close. This is going to be a very good game, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. But it would not shock me if they lost this game. Let me put that out there. Next up, Sunday night, Cleveland takes on the Giants in MetLife.
Give me the Browns. I think they bounce back. It was a very close loss. I think they're looking to get one more back in the win column after that one.
Yeah, and we just had, I don't want to say like breaking news, but it was reported that head coach Joe Judge said that Daniel Jones had another injury, and it wasn't in the calf or the hamstring. I forget what it was in his leg that was hurt, but he suffered another injury in last week's game, and it seems like Colt McCoy will be starting again. And if you're going to pick between Colt McCoy and Baker Mayfield and the Browns, I'm going to take Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Now, that being said, the people that are complaining about this game being not in Sunday Night Football, I think this will be a great game. And it also gives you an opportunity to watch a really good game in that afternoon window. So to those people, shut up. I'm sorry. You have to watch the Browns Sunday Night Football. Browns, back-to-back primetime games. I love it. Give me the Browns.
Good for them.
Remember when what happened last time Colt McCoy started for the Giants, Dom?
They scored 17 points.
And who'd they beat?
The Seahawks, who I've consistently said are not a good team, and they just have Russell Wilson.
I'm just messing with you. I'm going to take the Browns.
Okay.
I'm taking the Browns this one.
That's a little tease.
But lastly, Monday night.
Monday Night Football. What a game we got here, boys.
Steelers in Cincy.
Yeah, no, definitely give me the Steelers here. Steelers here, pardon me, not being able to speak proper English. Yeah, I'm gonna take them here. They've had their skid. They lost to the Bills, of course. They're gonna be able to bounce back against a divisional opponent and take care of the Bengals.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what this matchup would be like with Joe Burrow, with this banged up Bengals team and banged up Steelers team. I mean, it's easy pick with the Steelers here. Will be interesting. Big matchup with them against the Colts next week. Do they overlook the Bengals in this game? I mean, they're certainly going to win, but I mean, this could be that classic Steelers playing down to their opponent game. I wouldn't panic too much if I see the Steelers play a one possession game here against the Bengals. Just this is a little listener's tip. They're gonna overlook this game.
Is Jeffrey's birthday today?
I'm on a show, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Eric, what the heck? Can we talk about this in a minute?
Yes or no?
No,
Is it the 19th?
it's the
It's
18th.
the 18th. Okay.
Thank you.
That was the. I can't believe that.
You can edit that out. Doesn't matter.
Eric, we're live on YouTube right now, buddy.
All right, Ryan's gonna pick the Steelers in this game, and that's all for the 4-3 show today.
Okay, Josh, I'm actually not picking the Steelers.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm picking the Steelers. I'm picking the Steelers. There's no doubt. Picking the Steelers. They beat down on the Bengals with Joe Burrow. They're going to beat down on them again. I don't think this is going to be close. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that interruption from my rude twin brother, who might be on the show next week if Pat's not here. We might bring him on as a little joke about Indiana sports, see if he has anything funny to say. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for listening. Happy holidays. Whoever is Jewish like myself, happy Hanukkah as we are reaching the end. Happy holidays to everyone. Hope everyone has a great rest of their week and enjoys week 15 of the NFL season. We will be back next week.